All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're taking a journey into your own mind. Yeah, that incredibly powerful tool you have. We're going to break down how thinking actually works so we can all, get a little better at it.
I mean, think about it. You do it all day, every single day. But have you ever stopped to wonder what's really going on up there? You know, that exact moment an idea just pops into your head. Or when you finally crack that problem that's been bugging you for days. It's like the most basic thing we do, but for most of us, it's a total black box.
So let's start at square one. The big question, what even is thinking? Because this is going to be the foundation for, well, everything else we're about to get into.
Okay, the key word here, the one you really got to focus on, is manipulation. See, thinking isn't passive. It's not like information just, pours into our brains. No, it's an active thing. Our minds are constantly taking info from what we see, what we remember, and actively twisting it, shaping it, building something new with it.
And that's the whole point, right? Everything you're taking in, the words I'm saying right now, a song you heard this morning, a memory from when you were a kid, thinking is what takes all that raw data and turns it into something brand new. An opinion, an idea, a solution, that little creative spark. It's literally how we build our own reality moment by moment.
Okay, so if thinking is the engine, what are the tools that engine uses to actually do anything? Well, it turns out our minds have this really neat, surprisingly organized toolkit. So let's pop the hood and look at two of the big ones, concepts and reasoning.
Seriously, how do we deal with the absolute flood of information we get hit with every single day? Just imagine if you had to process every single thing you saw as a totally new, unique item. You'd be completely overwhelmed, right? It's impossible. So instead, our brains came up with this brilliant system, these little mental filing cabinets we call concepts.
And the crazy part is, this happens so fast, you don't even notice. It's automatic. You see a potato, and your brain doesn't just go, lumpy brown thing. Nope, it instantly files it away, vegetable, which is in the food drawer. You see a towel? Boom, filed under cloth. This is what lets us see something totally new and not get paralyzed. We just find the right category for it. It's just so efficient.
Okay, so putting stuff in these mental files is super useful, but that's just step one. That's only half the game. The real magic, the power of thinking, is what we do with all that organized info, how we use it. And that, my friends, is where reasoning comes in.
So our brains basically have two main ways of reasoning. On the one hand, you've got deductive reasoning. Think of this as top-down logic. You start with a big general rule that you know is true, like all birds have feathers. Then you apply it to one specific thing. A robin is a bird. And bam, you get a conclusion that is 100% guaranteed. Therefore, a robin has feathers. Easy. Then on the other side, you've got inductive reasoning. This is bottom up. You're like a detective, gathering clues. Okay, that person wears simple clothes, they pray, they eat simple food. You put those clues together and you make a good guess, a likely conclusion. They're probably a priest. So, one gives you a sure thing, the other gives you the best bet. And we are flipping between these two all day long.
All right, let's get practical. How does all this apply to one of the biggest things we use our brains for? Solving problems. Because let's be honest, we've all been there, when your own brain feels like the biggest roadblock you're facing.
You know the feeling, right? You're just staring at a problem, you're hitting a wall, totally stuck. And then later, when you finally figure it out, the answer seems so simple, so obvious. You're like, why didn't I see that before? Well, there's a reason for that. It's a really common mental trap.
It's called a mental set, and it's basically your brain getting stuck in a rut. You know, a solution worked great for an old problem, so your brain creates this little mental shortcut. But then that shortcut gets rigid, and we just keep trying to use that same old solution on a new problem, even when it's totally different.
And honestly, this is the perfect way to think about it. It's like you're trying to use your old house key on a brand new lock. You can stand there all day, jiggling it, forcing it, but it's never going to open. Not until you realize you need a totally different key, a completely new approach. It's pure mental tunnel vision. So the trick really is to just stop and ask yourself, okay, wait, is there another way to even look at this?
But what happens when we do break out of that tunnel? What about those amazing aha moments, those flashes of brilliant original thinking? Well, that's creativity. And guess what? Even that process, which feels so random and magical, actually has a structure we can follow.
This right here is the absolute heart of creativity. That sudden flash, the eureka moment, the solution that just seems to appear out of thin air. That's what we call insight.
And it's really what we're all hoping for when we're trying to be creative, isn't it?
But getting to that aha moment isn't just luck. It's a whole process. A psychologist named Graham Wallace actually broke it down into 5 stages. First, you've got preparation. This is where you just dive in, you gather all the facts. Then, and this is the part everyone skips, comes incubation. You have to step away, let your brain chew on it in the background. Then, suddenly, bam, illumination. That's the insight. But you're not done. After that, you have to evaluate it. Like, is this idea actually any good? And finally, you revise it and polish it into the final solution.
Let's just hang on this for a second. Stage 3, illumination. That aha moment. It feels like pure magic, right? Like the answer just materialized in your head, perfect and complete. But, and this is so important, it does not come from nowhere. It's a direct result of all that work you did in the preparation stage and, just as crucial, giving yourself that time to walk away and let it incubate.
So, okay, we've organized information, we've reasoned with it, we've even had some creative breakthroughs. So what's left? Well, the final step in a lot of thinking is actually making a choice. And to do that, we need to get clear on 2 ideas that sound similar but are actually very different.
Yeah, we tend to throw judgment and decision-making around like they're the same thing. They're not. Think of it this way. Judgment is the stuff that happens inside your head. It's you weighing the options, sizing everything up, forming an opinion. Decision-making, that's the action. That's when you actually pull the trigger and choose one of the options. And the order here is everything. It has to be first you judge, then you decide. It makes sense, right? The better you are at evaluating your options, your judgment, the better your final choice is going to be. It's that simple. Better judgment leads to better decisions.
And that kind of brings our whole journey full circle. But it's also a new starting line. We've pulled back the curtain on how our minds actually work, from the basic tools we use to how we solve problems and even how we get our best ideas. So the final question isn't just about what is thinking. It's about what you're going to do with this knowledge. You've now got something of a map to your own mind. So, how are you going to use it?